Hello and welcome to this Gauntlet Community Open Gaming session of Hearts of Wulin. This one titled The Wedding of Petals and Steel. My name is Lowell, pronouns he, him. I designed the basic mechanics for this. I'm the co-writer of the rule book. I wrote most of the mechanical sections, and then we had people with a stronger cultural background in this creating those sections on culture and play, and we had a sensitivity reader go over things. So this is a game that comes out of my love of wuxia dramas. We've seen more of these in recent years with things like the Untamed on Netflix, but I'll talk about what that means in terms of the source materials here in a moment. I want to check before we go any further. Is everyone here familiar with Powered by the Apocalypse? Has everyone played PbtA? Okay, good. So I won't have to worry about that part of it. There are a few changes that when we get after the character creation section, I'll talk about those. A couple of mechanical differences from other PbtA games. So what I'm going to do now is go into our CATS document, which is essentially concept, aim or approach, tone, and then into our safety discussion. So you're going to hear me blathering here for just a little bit. So the basic concept is you are all playing wuxia heroes. You are part of the Wulin world. This is a world that is sort of separate from normal society, separate from imperial society. All of you are potent, strong, powerful in your arts, talents, and skills in fighting, but you are a little bit hobbled by your own hearts. Your emotions and passions trip you up. You have a hard time dealing with those. It's much easier to just fight someone than it is to express how you feel. So our touchstones for this in terms of movies are Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, and as I mentioned, the Untamed. These stories, the ones that I'm really drawing on, come out of a literary tradition that extends a long ways back, but particularly in the 50s and 60s, there were a set of writers who were writing serialized novels like Legend of the Condor Heroes and things like that, that ended up being made into multiple films and multiple TV shows that are long, extended, vast numbers of characters. People go back and forth, filled with misunderstandings, and I love them. A lot of the more recent shows are based on original properties or are based on web novels and things like that. But that's where this draws on. We have characters who have powerful powers and abilities, as you've seen in the films, but we don't have magic. This isn't a world of ghosts and nine-tailed foxes. There are several different levels of that in wuxia films and stories. We're on a little more, I hate to say grounded, but grounded level. Our characters have a hard time talking about their feelings. As I said, you talk obliquely about emotions. It is not heavy embraces and lots of kisses. It's a gentle brush. It's a longing glance. It's moving past one another. It is all of that melodrama. There are a few other conventions in this. The one I like to mention is that if you put on a disguise of any kind in these, no one can tell who you are. That means if you put on a hat, you put on a fake mustache. It's a great conceit of these. What we're going to be doing in terms of the structure of play is we're going to be setting up the characters and entanglements. And our characters, all of you will at least know one another, and you will be connected to one another in some way. What is happening is there's a wedding between two factions of the martial world. Our groom is Righteous Jade. Our bride is Dawning Joy. If you look in the character keeper, you can see I have pictures for both of them. as well as for the bride's father and the groom's chief. And then I have a variety of NPCs with names that you can pull into your entanglements. Maybe they're lovers, maybe they're friends, maybe they're siblings that just have names, and you'll be able to use them when you go to build up your entanglements. This wedding is important. It's going to join these two factions together. They have been at war for some time, and this is going to conclude that, but some people don't like that. And there are some threats that are hanging in the air that we'll talk about when we get a little bit closer to that. In terms of tone, this is serious but dramatic. It is very much melodrama. Emotions are heightened. Emotions are played out. On screen, we try to figure out what they feel and how they can express this. Though it is melodrama, it is not parody. We want to respect the original sources. These shows are great. The drama and romance of them are compelling. So we want to definitely try to treat them with the respect that we can. Regarding that, of course, I'm a super white dude running this. So we do want to try and treat everything about the culture as sensitively as we can. That's why we're going to talk about the safety tools. One thing, you can do voices, but please don't do accents. Don't deliberately heighten on those things. We also don't dwell on any kind of parodistic comments on old film problems or things like that, like bad dubs or anything. So those are all things that are off the table. In terms of safety for play, we're using a layered set of tools to do that. If you go to the character keeper, the first tab is lines and veils. This is the baseline discussion, baseline establishing of some boundaries that we do here. And from now on, as we're doing character creation, I would like to ask everybody to go take a look there and mark anything that they want to have as a line, as a veil, or ask first. So lines meaning we're not going to see that in play. That's not something we want to see on screen. It's not a topic we want to deal with. Veil being if it happens, we fade to black, or it kind of happens off screen, we might reference it, but it is not something that occurs in the visible scene for us. And then ask first are basically anything that you were like, okay, I'm okay with that, but I'd like a check-in before we bring that into play. Those are the three levels. I encourage you to take a moment to go through theirs. If there are things that aren't on that list that you want to add, you can just do that at the bottom and mark that as you will. So that establishes our baseline. As we go through play, the second tool that we're using is the X card. And all of you may be familiar with it, may have used it before or not. Basically, in the online play, typically the two best ways to use the X card to activate it are just to say I want X card, or I want to X card that, or to do this gesture. Either one of those will work. X card meaning that we've hit something you're not comfortable with. We can stop. The only question we might ask is, where we need to roll back to, but we don't. There's no need to justify that. We go and we kind of rewrite the scene a little bit. X card is being used for anything that you find objectionable, that you find problematic in terms of my language or another player's language, or it can be used for if you feel like the game's wildly gone off tone. Any of those things are reasons. For example, if we've started to drift towards something that we have a line on and we haven't caught it, it's good to X card that and say, hey, I think we're getting a little close to that. Those are all reasons to use that. The other thing, and this is something Rich Rogers taught me, is if the first couple of times that something happens, you're like, I'm okay with it, but then you're not, it is absolutely legitimate to X card it later. You don't lose the opportunity to X card something just because it's happened before in the session. You always have the right to do that. The last thing that I want to mention is the open door policy. We will be taking breaks, but if you need to leave for whatever reason, illness or emergency work, whatever, you have the right to that. If you're like, oh, this game is not for me, it is absolutely legit to say, thank you, I'm going to go now. It would be good if you could in message me or put in the chat that I'm leaving. If you're going to be back, maybe mention that. It's not required, but it's a nice gesture. But just to tell you that all of those things are more important than playing silly elf games here on a Sunday morning. So that is important to me. So that is my big long talk here. We will go over what we've chosen as lines and veils sort of after we've gotten the basics of character creation done, but you can kind of take a look at that. So let me talk about this. We're going to move into our characters. We have, for this setting, for this game, we have 6 playbooks that all have a theme. Each playbook additionally has a set of roles, meaning slight differences to that, and that gives you a role move. So let me talk about those because we kind of want to have everybody pick those things before we go further into character creation. The first playbook is the aware. These are characters that use knowledge, wisdom to move their characters forward. So we have scholars, we have masters, traveling teachers. The second playbook we have is the Bravo. These are characters that are much more happy-go-lucky. It includes the thief. It includes the gallivant who travels around enjoying the fruits of life. We have the loyal, a more solid character who is dedicated to ideals. They might be a swordsman who serves a house, or they might be a magistrate or some kind of official. We have the outsider, who kind of are marginal characters. These include our trickster, include characters that wander from place to place, people that rebel against things. The student is our 5th one, and these characters are young, naive, maybe haven't quite learned everything. They are a little more innocent in that. It means we have our hopeful apprentice, we have our temple wanderer. Last but not least, we have the unorthodox. These are the strange set of archetypes. So we have the character who hides their abilities. We have the prodigy who has powers that they can't quite control. So these are the 6 playbooks. Ideally, I would like everyone to take a different playbook. But if 2 people decide that they really have to have the same playbook, we can kind of split out things between that. You're going to start with the roll move. You're going to pick one more move from that playbook, and then you're going to have a chance to, in play, choose another one. So let me start with checking in. And normally what's you're going to see when I ask questions to the table, I'm going to start with specific people. But here at this point, we're kind of right at the beginning, and I'll take the risk, and I'm going to ask a general thing to the table. And then once everybody goes, I don't know, then I'll ask specific people. Does anyone have a very strong feeling like this is the playbook that I want, or these are the 1 or 2 playbooks, or even 3, so we can start to whittle things down?
I had a quick question.
Absolutely.
Are we, do we have like all our own agendas? Are we working as a group, or how does, or
Oh, yeah.
both?
So
Or
the way we're going to do this is you're going to assume that you know one another. And the way that we're going to, you're all attending the wedding for probably your own reasons. We're going to establish 2 entanglements for you. Entanglements basically are a triangular relationship. You have essentially a relationship with another person that is complicated by a third person. You're going to get 2 of those, and you're going to include one of the PCs in at least one of those entanglements. So you're going to be connected that way. So you may both be in love with the same person, or you may be hidden enemies. But you are going to be connected at the start. Does that help? Okay. Anyone have a strong sense Okay, in that case, here's where I begin. Oh, Michael, please.
I'm Hi. I'm kind of drawn to either the Bravo or the Loyal.
Michael, Bravo or Loyal?
And I was drawn to either the Bravo or the Student.
Bravo, Student. Rod, how about you? Still thinking? Okay. Anders?
I have ideas for nearly all the playbooks, so I'm fine with with anything. So I'm fine to pick something that maybe contrasts with the others.
Okay,
To get something
that's
going.
fair. Michael, if I came back to you and said, which one do you want, the Bravo or the Loyal? What would you say?
Ooh, tough question. Hmm, hmm, hmm. I think the Bravo.
Okay. Mark, would you be good with the Student then?
Sorry, I was muted.
Oh.
Yeah, Student sounds great.
Okay, so now we're down to 4 possible playbooks to choose from. It's limited, like 1/3 of them are off the table. Rod, any thoughts here?
I've never played this.
Sure.
I don't imagine there are easier ones than others.
The only one I would say that can complicate things is the unorthodox is the weird one. I think that's the one that creates the most play complication. So that'd be the one I would like put to the side.
So we have Bravo, we have Student. Put aside unorthodox. Loyal?
Loyal's great. A good set of choices in that for classic swordsman or detective D or any of those kinds of archetypes. Anders, look at that. You're down to just a couple of choices. Does that help?
Yeah, I think so. So the Student is the kind of naive, optimistic character.
Yep.
The Loyal is very, loyal. Kind of the.
Yeah. Right now we have the Bravo, Student, and Loyal are off the table.
Yeah. So I think. I think I want to go with an outsider, maybe.
Ooh. Okay. There's some good picks there.
Yeah, I looked at the Trickster before, and that seems like a lot of fun.
It is a good, easy one. So you're going to go with outsider Trickster?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I have a little tab that talks about what you're going to be doing in terms of character creation here. You're going to be coming up with your look and your name. That's step 1. Step 2, you're going to come up with your fighting style. You're going to come up with a name for it. You're going to choose what kind of weapon you fight with. And you're going to choose one of those 5 elements that we have listed. Our elements are our stats, our attributes that we're going to be rolling with. Most of the time, you're going to be choosing which one you want to roll with. But when you fight, you always roll with your style element. Your style element can say something about you, the quick, fiery passion style, or a style that's metal-based, it's more calculated and controlled. You're going to figure that out. You're going to assign your stats, which I've got the essentially +2, +1, +1, 0, and -1. This is all in the character creation tab. And then you'll write in your playbook. You write in your playbook move, and you'll choose one of the moves that are from the list of that body. You're going to get to choose another one in play. You can say, oh, I have this move. So these are what you can do. What I'd like is everybody to go up, choose a column on the character keeper, put those things in, get up to that point, and then we'll stop, do introductions, and then we will go to the entanglements. So I'm going to stop talking finally and let you all work on that. If you have questions, say so, and we'll try and help out.
So I often find inspiration with character images. Do you have a Pinterest or anything for PCs to choose from?
Well, yes, in fact, I do. Let me grab that. Here is, if you need character art inspiration, this is a Pinterest board for you.
I have a question.
Sure.
Are we playing with gender roles as defined by the culture?
No, we're playing. You can define gender roles as you wish to in this. We're assuming that women's roles can be anything, men's roles can be anything. In the case of this, that gender fluid and be all of those things are certainly on the table, and treated as equivalent and respectful in this.
Okay. Because I was thinking about being in a temple, but I think most temple people were men back then. So
there were temples that were women-only temples as well.
oh, okay.
And they get weirdly translated as nunneries in the subtitles for things, which is not particularly accurate. Smiling Proud Wanderer, one of the Jin Yang novels, has a predominant order of women from a temple.
Okay. Yeah, I got to see The Sentimental Swordsman, so I'm just basing everything off of that.
If anyone needs help with names as well, there is an Entanglements and Names tab that has some example different names.
I was one thing. Is there some special move or something related to having like a secret identity, or is that just a general thing? You're muted.
Oh, sorry. There is a generally you can establish that. There are some playbooks that have things like that. As for example, the Bravo thief comes with a special built-in secret identity and so on. But in the case of this, if you want to have a character that has an identity that they use to conceal themselves in certain situations, you can build that into the backstory.
Cool, cool. And another thing about the names,
Sure.
I really like the, and not just here, but in general, these names with meanings. But it's tricky when you don't know the cultural connotations. Like you don't know what the like what the animals represent in the same way.
That's a really good point, and it's actually one of the things we went back and did. I would recommend abstractions things. I do have a few in the other names, some animal things, but I would avoid animals and definitely avoid anything dragon.
Yeah. Cool.
This list of looks is incredible. There's just so much to. I want to spend an hour figuring out all the little details.
Yep.
Yeah, especially looking up Pinterest's pictures. That's kind of dangerous.
And there is a thing at the very bottom for putting in an image link to have your picture at the bottom of your column.
Can anyone check if it worked for mine? Because I can't see it.
Let me look here.
Yeah, I can see yours.
Yep.
Okay. Good.
Oh wait,
And
let's see here.
I'm on the left.
Yeah, no, I actually can't see yours.
Oh, really?
For Michael's on the first column.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, you're right. I think your Pinterest, it has to end in an extension. So if you were to take that here, let me help you out.
Oh, I see. Does have to be like a JPEG or something?
Yeah, I got it for you. All right. There you go.
Thank you very much.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, I took one of the ones that you had, Lowell, in your Pinterest, but had all of the movie stuff, like all of the and I cropped it down and awesome. I uploaded it back to the internet, and then I linked it back in. So it was very important to me to get that right. All right. let me write this down.
How far did you want us to go with character creation?
Look a name, figure out your style, put in your stats, and choose your moves.
Cool.
There's no pronunciation guide. I don't know which how to pronounce the names I'm looking at. Oh man. So okay, I'll take that.
inner conflict is like the act under fire, like the general do something move when there's no other move for it, or
no, that is in fact overcome is the general sort of, if you're trying to do something. Inner conflict is whenever you are faced with the emotional turmoil of your entanglements, when you run into the person that you love and they're with someone else, all of those things, I will check in and see whether you think it rises to the level of inner conflict. If you say yes, then you get to mark XP, but then you have to roll. And inner conflict is also the only other move that has restrictions on what you can roll with, which is you just can't roll it with your style element.
Oh, very cool. Oh, right. Now I see why I got mixed up. I think there are two moves that are labeled inner conflict.
Oh,
And I think
yes,
one,
that should be overcome. Is that
yeah,
one?
that's okay. Then that's why I was confused.
Yeah. Go back and check my template now. All right, I'm gonna give everybody a few more minutes. Anything that you don't kind of get picked now, you can pick in play, but we'll go to another 4 or 5 minutes here.
When choosing factions, are there some factions in play that we should probably look at first, or?
No, you're gonna, if you want to decide that you're from a faction, you can give it a name and establish that.
Oh, okay. Does everybody have a faction?
Well, you can decide that during entanglements or introductions, however you want to do that. You may want to wait and see what other people have. Maybe you'll say you're from an order and then we'll give it a name, that kind of thing.
Got it. So I have a name, I have pronouns, I have my stats, my elements defined. I have my roll move and the 2 moves chosen that come with my playbook. And I just need to come up with a style name and element. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
And what weapons you think you typically use? Most styles have a preferred one, but you may have multiples.
Okay.
Regarding stats, I'll just pick the assignment that is left.
So the numbers are that you'll put are +2, +1, +1, 0, and -1.
Great.
So is it important to have your style element be your strongest element, or is that just you can do it if you want to?
I would say that kind of defines how strong a fighter you are. If you match up your style element with your strongest element, most people do.
I'm sorry, where does it say what your style element is?
Oh, you will choose. So if you look at the different elements that we have there, the earth, fire, metal, water, and wood, you choose which one of those you think represents your style. So you know, an earth style might be more about force, about focus, where a water style might be more fluid, moving, and about perception.
Thanks.
Let me do this. So I'm gonna my, by the way, I have a thick Hoosier accent from Indiana. If at any point I'm talking too fast or you can't understand what I'm saying, please say Lowell, repeat yourself. I will have no problem with that. If what I'm saying you can't understand, please say that. So what I'm going to do is we're going to start actually on the right end of our character keeper and work our way leftwards. We're going to have everyone introduce themselves and their pronouns, their character and the character's pronouns, and then kind of walk us through what they're picturing for the character, what role they are, what their style's like, and what moves they've chosen. And we're going to go through and do that. And once introductions are done, we're going to move on to entanglements. So, Mark, I'm bringing you here first onto the table. Please tell us about your character.
Okay, so I'm playing Jin, or Jean, J-I-N.
And Mark, your pronouns are?
My character or me?
You as well.
They, them.
Okay, just want to make sure. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So Jin is a she, her. She is she's the student Playbook. I'm going to be playing a temple wanderer. And that means that I belong to a temple, but for whatever reason, I am told to explore the temporal world. So let's see. I imagine that she is aware and flexible, but not patient. So I have high water and low wood. She has a path called the Path of the Falling Tomes, as in books. And what I imagine it looks like is that it's a lot of blocking as things come in. But the special move is basically placing your staff under someone's foot before they can place it back down on the ground again, as if you had caught a book that was falling off the bookshelf.
Nice.
And just keeping people off balance that way. That's the imagination I have in my head. And so my Temple Wanderer move means that people respect me when I'm in my gear. Even bandits might respect me in my robes or whatever. I took Listening Snow Tower. I'm inexperienced, but somehow I value wisdom. When I offer advice to another PC and they ignore it, take +1 ongoing to rescue them. And then I took Sacrifice. When I mark the wounded box, all of your allies gain +1 forward. So
excellent.
I'm here to get into trouble.
So pretty young, I'm guessing from the picture.
Yes, I would imagine very young.
And why do you think you were sent out to wander? Is this a usual thing for your temple, or were there circumstances that caused them to say you need to leave for a bit?
I think my naivete got me in trouble at the temple.
Okay.
I upset one of the masters, and they decided that maybe I should be out of sight and out of mind for a while.
Do you think that you were raised in the temple, or did you come from a family and joined it at a certain age?
I think that I grew up with a poor subsistence farming family,
Mhm.
and one of the monks, and I'd like her to be called a monk if that's the proper word, came down from the mountain and saw some sort of potential in me, and the family agreed to send me up to the temple for training. So I guess since about 10 years old.
Okay. And simple staff or a little more ornate staff with like rings at the top. What are you picturing for that?
I think that the order, the more important you are, the more rings you have at the top of your staff.
Ah, okay.
So I have like a dull bronze singular, the lowest I can get, one circle at the top.
Okay.
I mean, it still makes a little cling. There's still a little thing in there to make a noise as I walk. You know, you can tell who I am. But anybody that knows anything about our order knows that I am at bottom rank.
Awesome. So one of the things that we assume is that you have been out in the world for a while, which is why you might have met people who have been involved in entanglements.
Okay.
What I'm going to do is move on to the next person for introductions. While I'm doing that, I'd like you to look at the entanglements tab. You will see that I have example entanglements for each of the playbooks. Everyone's going to choose a romantic entanglement and a general entanglement. If, as you're looking through the ones for student, you're like, none of these appeal to me, there's an even bigger list further down as you scroll downwards. Basically, an entanglement is your relationship with one person is complicated by another person, that sort of triangle that occurs there. Keep in mind, in at least one of those two entanglements, you'll want to have a PC in one of those spots. Well, of course, when you do that, we'll check in, we'll do offers and make sure that everyone is cool with that. Does that sound good?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll let you take a look at those. All right, that brings us to Anders. Anders, please tell us about your character.
Yeah, I'm playing Sue. They them. They are.
And your pronouns
trickster.
are he, him?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. They are the trickster or a trickster. High fire, so especially creativity, speed, and passion. Low metal, control, calculation, reflection. So very impulsive, and not always. Don't always plan ahead that much. My style is the 8-step circle. It focuses on movement, constantly, never standing still, constantly moving to keep your opponent off balance. Uses flexible weapons, especially like a cloth belt or your sleeves or that sort of thing.
Nice.
Along with daggers. And it's a fire style, moving fast, and being tricksy. Was there anything else I should?
Yeah, what did you choose for your move?
Yeah, right. Should we pick one or two now?
You can pick both, but you only have to pick one, and you can pick the other in play. So if you've chosen both, that's cool.
Yeah, then I'll stick with one. I have picked Royal Tramp. May attempt to escape a situation even when surprised.
So let me ask you.
Very slippery.
Yeah. Let me ask you about this. You are an elegant, beautiful man. Very well dressed. So you're not our usual scruffy trickster by the side of the road. You are. Do you have? Is that sort of? Have you assumed the role of being maybe more highly born, or did you come from a Wulin family and have kind of, you know, shifted into this life? What do you imagine?
I think, ooh, yeah, I think I want to make this kind of a, I think they've stolen this identity.
Okay.
But maybe actually the person they stole it from was happy to leave it. So they've assumed the role of a member of the nobility. They wanted to get away from, or he maybe wanted to get away from some arranged marriage or something.
So people
they
might know
thought-
you by reputation as this other person, so there may be some things that they assume about you that might not be true.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I don't care. I'm
Okay.
just happy to get to enjoy the finer things in life. So yeah, probably I grew up poor, but this person saw that we looked very similar. They wanted to get away. Maybe I tried to steal something from them, and they figured this is someone resourceful who can assume my role at least long enough that I get a chance to escape.
Are they the ones that taught you your style, or was it someone else?
Ooh, yeah. That sounds
So
right.
they caught you, had a conversation. We got a long training montage, and then we have them swapping clothes with you. Okay, yeah, that seems perfect. We'll pick that. One of the things when we go to look at the entanglements with people, one of the questions, of course, we'll have is whether they know that you're impersonating someone or not. You know, how much do they know about that? So I'll have you look at those entanglements as I continue to make my way around for introductions. Rod, I'm going to come to you and have you introduce your character.
Right. So I had to pick a long name.
Yeah, sure. Rod, your pronouns are?
I'm a he, him.
Okay.
My character is Tears Fall Like Starlight, also
right.
he, him. And I'm thinking someone who is has set himself as a bodyguard for the prince. Whether that's an official capacity or something he decided for himself. I'm not sure yet.
Okay.
My element style is earth, so I'm kind of like a shield, you know, set before someone. I have a cloak that's looks like it's made out of daggers, and I can grab daggers out of them and just kind of chuck them as needed. I took Legend of the Mountain, which helps me defend people. I took Heaven's Sword and Dragon Saber. I have a legendary blade. I don't think rattlesnakes are part of that area, but I can say that maybe he heard stories of this creature, and his sword, actually his hilt has little, kind of like a rattler's tail. And when he wants to warn people, he draws his sword and it shakes, rattling, signifying that he will attack or rather defend with extreme violence if necessary. What else?
So the sword, is it one of the, is it a more straight classic sword, or is it like a more broad blade weapon?
I think a long a classic
okay.
Yeah,
classic thin blade. And how old do you imagine? I mean, the picture there is kind of ageless. So how old do you imagine that Tears Fall Like Starlight is?
You know, I put young, but let's make it like in his early 20s.
Okay. And this sword, I mean, do you come from a martial family, a Wulin clan? Was this sword a gift? Was it something you found? Was it inheritance? What do you think?
Oh, the sword. I think the sword should be something that he asked to be made, because he saw
Ooh.
like all the great heroes and how they have, you know, some kind of signature weapon, or at least the ones that he admired. So he wanted something like that for himself.
Mm-hmm. And does he come from a Wulin house, a Wulin clan family?
Maybe a clan that's like I don't know how this works, but like who's loyal to the prince's clan.
Yeah, certainly there in the movies and shows are often families or clans that are at the beck and call of the imperial household. Yeah,
Okay,
absolutely.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
And we'll come up with a name for them, but that gives us
May I ask a question?
Yeah.
What is Wulin? I've heard you use it a few times.
Oh, so Wulin is the term for describing this martial world, this world of these warriors that's kind of outside of the normal space of, say, imperial society and so on. Wulin heroes is a way to describe these people. In the classic tales, they're wandering heroes who fight for justice, and often that puts them at odds with authority figures.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
And how does that differ from wuxia?
Wuxia essentially is a more descriptive of the whole broad literary form and so on. There's another term, Zhanghu, which also refers to the kind of the martial world. There are several different ways to describe that. Okay, I think that gives us a good sense. Do people call you for short Tears or
Tears
Starlight?
Is fine.
Tears is fine. Which one do you prefer?
Oh, you know what? I think most people call me Tears, but certain
Okay.
people call me Starlight.
Close friends call you Starlight. Very nice. Very nice. All right. And you can take a look at those entanglements. We'll come back around to you to check in and get those set. That brings us to you, Michael. Tell us your pronouns and tell us your character and your character's pronouns.
Yeah. So I'm Michael. I use he, him, but also they, them is fine. And I've chosen, I'd say Zen, probably the way to pronounce it in English. Also he, him. And I've picked the thief.
Ooh.
Because I'm picturing like, an elegant and decadent young man who's also a bit bored and, you know, is known in the criminal world as Red Shadow. And I think if it comes to fighting, I use a fan. That's why I've chosen that picture. So he's really elegant and concerned with looks, and the fighting style is called Laughing Thunder. I made it up my own.
Okay.
And it's related to fire, so it's very creative and fast, and it's about distracting people when you open the fan and mocking them with hitting. When the fan is closed, you hit them, and if it comes to sorry, what else is important for the introduction?
So tell us about the other moves you took besides the sort of the base thief move.
Mm-hmm. So let's see. I've chosen tracing shadow, which is basically, if I got it right, studying someone closely and learning secrets and their entanglements. And it takes a thief, which is basically quite useful, I'd say, to be able to pass locked doors and windows, and even when you're fighting, you don't wrinkle your clothes or spill wine. So that was important.
Yes. So do you imagine that you come from a noble family and you've turned to this life, or something else?
I'd say so, yeah.
Okay. And this style, is this something you developed out of your family style, or is it something that they taught? How do you imagine that that came about?
I'd say maybe it's rather, how do you put it, extra.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
maybe my family is more solid, and then they use swords and different fighting styles and more grounded.
So they're probably a little bit upset that you have gone this way and you've turned away from the path of the sword, and here you are with this. Why are you called Red Shadow in your thiefly identity?
You know, like in the movies, a character, they disguise themselves with a mask which barely conceals their face,
Right.
but no one recognizes them. So I think it's like a red mask, and maybe he leaves like red paper with some mocking words whenever he robbed someone.
Very nice. Very nice. All right. I think that gives us a good sense of who you are. We're going to come around and we're going to do the entanglements now. And we'll come back to you. So Mark, come back to the top of this and we're talking about your entanglements. Which one do you want to do first? We're going to do one and go around, and then we're going to come back around. Which of the two, Mark, do you have a sense of?
So I know the frameworks for both of them.
Okay.
And I just need to fill in the names to finish them.
Sure. Well, we've got a whole tab of NPCs with names, so feel free to grab those people in as you might need.
Okay.
Which one do you want to start with?
I will do the general one because I'm still trying to figure out who I desire.
Okay.
So my general one is, I suspect so-and-so of evil, but so-and-so who I respect believes in them. And let me take a look at the NPCs here.
Well, you've got a couple of characters who are a little shady in your group, so there's a real opportunity to put a PC in one of that slot there.
Yeah, no, I started there, but then I heard what you were saying when you told me to go to the NPC tab, so I was thinking maybe I need to do more NPCs. So
you should put you're going to need to put at least a PC in at least one of the spots there. Okay. One of your entanglements.
Okay. So I suspect Sue of evil.
Okay. Does that work for you, Anders? Okay.
But somebody I respect. Should I also make that a PC, or should I go for an NPC?
Yeah. And here's a chance to bring in handsome, pretty, beautiful NPCs into your equation. So
nice. Ash and Twilight.
Ash and Twilight. So is Ash and Twilight someone formerly of your order? Because it doesn't look like she's a monk, or is it something you met on the road, or someone who visited a temple? How are they connected to you?
She is famous for her discernment of character, and we crossed paths once and shared a fire and wine together.
Okay. Excellent. So now we have an NPC who is suspicious of Sue, knows you, connected in there, will definitely be at the wedding, of course, for whatever reasons. Awesome. So we're going to do everybody else's first one, and then we'll come back and see about your romantic one.
Awesome.
Anders, which one do you want to do first?
I want to do my romantic one because I think it will be the one that. Yeah, I just want to do that one first.
Okay, sure, absolutely.
X and I love one another, but that will change if they learn of my history with Y. And I think this is the person that the one I have replaced was had the arranged marriage with. Or they are arranged to be married. They haven't been married yet. And I was just, yeah, whatever. I don't care. I'll go there, play the part for a bit, and then just ditch this whole thing. But then I fell in love with this person.
Oh, perfect.
But now I have done all these shady things. So if they find out about that, then everything's off.
Yeah. So this person and you are in love with each other, but if they find out about your relationship with the original Sue, okay. Yeah. So who is? Look at the NPCs tab. Who is it?
Yeah. Let's see. I think Crystal Yaling.
Okay.
She's very concerned with like trust and honesty and all the things that I have not been.
She maybe was betrayed earlier on in her life, and that's a shadow that's over her right now. Excellent. Okay, I think that's perfect. So when we go back to you to do your general, you'll want to put a PC in one of the slots for your general one. All right, Rod, for Tears, which entanglement do you want to do first, romantic or general?
I'll do the romantic. Okay, that's already actually part of my character concept.
Okay.
I love Righteous Jade, but they are engaged to Dawning Joy, whom I respect.
Oh, excellent. So let me ask you this. Is Righteous Jade aware of your feelings? Are they the prince that you've been protecting?
Yes. Oh, yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. If that doesn't affect
that's perfect.
Okay.
And are they aware?
I think so.
Okay.
And I guess I would leave that up to you if that's reciprocated at all.
Yeah, I assume at this point you're unsure how much. I mean, they've given you hints, but you're not sure. Right. I think that's still out there. Right. Excellent. That is absolutely perfect.
Great.
Michael, would you like to do your general or your romantic first?
Would it be too complex if I'm in love with the groom as well?
It is perfectly in genre for you to be in love with the groom as well.
Okay, because I want to do that.
Okay.
Let me see.
The easy way to do it is to say, I'm in love with Righteous Jade, but I know my friend Tears Fall Like Starlight is in love with them as well. That gives a PC connection. So you know each other. Tears may not be aware of how scandalous you are, but you're friends, and you're also in love with Righteous Jade. Perfect. Okay.
Maybe someone will stop the wedding. Let's see what happens.
Let's see what happens. Excellent. Let us come back to you, Jin. Now let's talk about your romantic entanglement. You're muted.
Yeah, I was also lost in thought.
Oh, sorry.
So, wow, everybody has somebody they love.
I do want to mention this too. Romantic doesn't have to be an actual necessarily a sexual attraction, but just passion or crush or strong emotional bonds of friendship that might be problematic.
Interesting. Okay.
Or even feeling that your character just doesn't understand yet.
I know what I'll do.
Okay.
I know what I'll do. I humiliated myself in front of dawning joy, whom I desire, and someone will not let me let anyone forget about it. So everybody's going for righteous jade, and I'll go for dawning joy. And I love how queer the game is already.
Yes.
So,
who is it who won't let you forget?
I feel like it has to be a PC. Rod, could tears be that person that continually is humbling me, but it's humiliating as well?
I don't see that as their personality. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Well, do either of you feel like you would continue to humble the young monk?
Zahn, does that feel like something that your character would do if you saw this monk mess up in front of the bride? Would you continually poke at them?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so.
Perfect.
All right. That's perfect. Anders, we have your romantic entanglement. Let's get your general one.
Yeah, I was thinking actually with my romantic entanglement, maybe just to make this messier, maybe I have actually had did some crime or something together with Red Shadow, so that's the second person in my romantic entanglement.
Oh, excellent. So
that's
you
okay with you,
does that work for you, Zahn?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds good.
So there's a whole set of complicated things there for you.
Yeah.
So then what do you want for your general?
Yeah, I just picked one that I thought sounded interesting, but I think maybe we should modify it a bit.
Sure. Please.
Local authority X hints they know of my shady dealings against my mentor Y and their family. And I think replace mentor with maybe Crystal Yaling's father or mother.
Okay. And who is this local authority that kind of knows about this whole scandalous thing, or thinks they know about it?
Yeah, I think that could be an NPC.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's see. We could go with Son of Stone and Wrath.
Okay.
Looks, like an upstanding sort of fellow.
They're a well-respected person in the Wulin world that commands other people, and they know something is up.
Yeah, and I think maybe they were friends with the original Sue when they were younger, so they know that something isn't quite right.
Right. Can't prove it, and it might be that you're this different, but excellent. Then that brings us back to Tears. Tears, what do you want for your general entanglement?
So I think, yeah, this one I need another PC for. I'm looking at, if I can get to it, characters. Someone and I both seek revenge against someone, but must be the one to strike the killing blow. I don't know. So either Anders or Mark, either Jin or Sue.
May I make a suggestion?
Yes.
Maybe you are sworn to bring down Red Shadow. Unless that's too difficult or too out there.
I don't want to kill you though, or do I?
I mean, you're not aware that I'm
Right,
Red
right.
Shadow.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So who is the other person who, like you, has sworn to bring in Red Shadow?
Oh, so it has to be some kind of law enforcement person, NPC, maybe.
Sure, sure.
So Captain Feng.
Captain Feng. Okay. So Captain Feng, like you, is kind of a protector bodyguard, and this Red Shadow has been a plague. And you've both sworn to bring them in to finish them off. But you feel that you have to do it first, right?
Right.
Okay.
Could I ask what Red Shadow's area of operations are, or what kind of
crime is
Yeah.
Red Shadow involved in? Okay. Are you just a thief, or is there more to it?
What would fit for our story? Do we know anything about the clans so far?
We know that the two families have been at odds, and we know that the family of Righteous Jade is a more highly placed, like certainly a more noble family.
Mm-hmm. So one question to Tears: Is it have you sworn to bring me down because I did someone to the clan you're serving, or to you?
I like the idea that it's a case of mistaken identity, and I think you did something you didn't do. Like maybe you were at a crime where someone died, and I think you killed them.
Oh, okay.
Right.
That's nice. So maybe there was an assassination. Yeah, maybe. Okay, let's go that way then.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of a burglar, and I do mischievous stuff, but I don't kill people. But there actually was an assassination,
Right.
and my card was left there, and so you think I murdered
someone tried to frame you. Excellent.
Ooh, nice.
Which brings us to our last entanglement.
Mm-hmm.
Zahn, what is your general entanglement?
Okay, let's see. So maybe that one fits. Local authority. Hints they know of my shady dealings against my senior and their family.
I think we have something a little close to that already.
Oh, okay. Maybe let's introduce a parent.
Okay.
That might be interesting. That could be an NPC. And does it make sense that I'm of the family of the bride?
Sure. Absolutely.
Okay. So Iron Lion is my uncle.
Okay.
Yeah. And sorry, I closed the tab. So what's it say? Yeah, but I'm changing it. My uncle
Sure.
Iron Lion suspects that my friend works against our faction.
Ooh.
So which one of you would that probably be?
Well,
it would be too obvious choosing tiers, I'd say.
What if my monastery is like ethically opposed to something going on with you, and therefore my presence alone indicates a statement? I don't know what exactly, because I'm just not connected with anybody at this point. So,
Jin, so Zahn, does that work for you?
Yeah, that sounds good.
May explain how Jin managed to humiliate themselves if they came to make a big speech about things here, and that did not go particularly well.
okay, yeah,
Nice.
not the right place, not the right time.
Yeah. All right.
And it gives Zahn a reason to undermine you as well, I guess.
Yeah. Right. Perfect.
I just wanted to note that in my general entanglement, I put in Crystal Yaling as the one my shady dealings are against, because it's really her I'm tricking.
Sure. So we have our characters, we have our entanglements. What we're going to do now is we're going to take about 10 minutes for our first break. When we come back, I'll mention a few of the mechanical bits, and we will get rolling into some scenes. So we'll be back in 10. So before we get too much further, I want to briefly go over our lines and veils that have been established for us. So we've got lines, hard lines on homophobia, sexual assault, and torture. Those are off the table as things we're going to be dealing with. And then we have veils on the following things: eye injuries, harm to animals, harm to children, and sexual content. The last being the Buffy thing, that when they close the embrace, we fade to black kind of thing. And then an ask first on childhood abandonment and suicide, if those things were to come up in people's things. Let me talk just a little bit about some mechanical things. First of all, for each of your entanglements, you've got 2 characters listed there. You'll see that we have a section on the character keeper called bonds. You get to pick a character from each of those entanglements, write their name in, and you have a bond with them at value 1. Bonds are a currency in this game. You can burn a bond to give yourself a +1 on a roll after you roll. It doesn't mean that you're destroying the relationship. It means that you're calling on the mental strength or the connection to kind of push you forward a little bit. So everybody's going to start with 2 bonds. Related to that, as I mentioned before, anytime you go to roll, with a couple of exceptions, I'm going to ask you, what are you rolling with? What do you feel like what is the element that's driving you now? And you'll choose which one. Like, okay, I feel this is a fire roll, so because it requires creativity, and you'll roll with that stat. The next question you might ask is, why would I not always roll with my best stat? And that is because anytime you roll with a stat, you're actually putting it at risk. One of the things that will happen is if you roll 6 or less, a fail, sometimes as a hard move as a GM, I will say, mark an element. Sometimes I'll say choice, and you get to pick which element you roll with. But often when you roll and you have to mark an element, you usually, if you don't have a choice, you mark the element you rolled with. And now you can always mark wounded instead. That gives you a -2 ongoing, but it means that element is still in play, because if your fighting style element is marked, you have to figure out another solution. You're not going to be able to directly combat the person. So that's what's on the table. And Tears Fall Like Starlight, they have 2 wound boxes. The first one doesn't cause them any penalty. So They have essentially a free element mark. If you have time between scenes and can kind of say why you've had a chance to catch your breath, relax, and so on, you can clear an element. And then there's the comfort and support move to help out with clearing elements or create bonds. So those are on the table. Inner conflict, as I mentioned before, is the move that if you are faced with the trauma and emotional weight of your entanglements, that's the time that I'll be asking, do you feel conflicted? And we'll have an inner conflict roll. Last mechanical thing I'm going to say. Unlike other PbtA games, a lot of them have information gathering moves that have questions associated with them. Masks has this about asking about people, asking about situations. This game doesn't use those. Essentially, when you roll the study move, you'll get hold, and you spend that hold 1 for 1 to ask questions. You can either get a 7 to 9 1 hold or a 10 plus, you'll get 2 hold. And you can ask anything. I might ask, like, how would you figure that out? But you get to do that. You get to ask those questions about people, about places, whatever. That is open. The other thing you can do is if you are meeting someone from the Wulin world, another a hero or even villain, you can, through that study move, ask what their scale is. If someone is below your scale, when you fight them, you're almost always going to beat them. That's just the way that works. If someone is on your scale, that's the challenge. Maybe you win, maybe you won't. If someone is above your scale, you lose. Period. The only thing that the question is when we roll is whether you get to narrate how badly you're beaten or how you're beaten or so on, how you get to control the dramatic flow of that. What happens usually is if you meet someone who is above your scale, you have to figure out how to bring them down to your scale, how to make them, an equal opponent. And often that's by people doing maneuvers or things like that with overcome actions and stuff to set things up or change the environment. So that's the mechanical thing. The last part of study is this. When you roll to ask a question with the study move, you can decide to actually give me the answer. You can make a declaration about what's going on. You can say, actually, I think I'm realizing this guy is in love with me. Or I think there's a secret door here. Those are things. If it contradicts the established fiction, we'll figure out why. But we kind of work it in. So it's legit to go to ask a question and you have a great answer for it. If you do, then you can bring that to bear. So keep that in mind, and we can negotiate about that. The only thing you can't make study declarations about are other PCs or people that are tightly connected to other PCs. We'll definitely do a check-in if that happens. So, Zahn, Sue, you two know each other. You are aware of each other. What do you, Zahn, what do you think of Sue?
I actually think, let me see, they are amusing to me. So I cherish being around them, and maybe since we've had some encounters and did some shady stuff, I like to even if people are around, make small remarks that only the two of us can decipher.
Absolutely. And Sue, let me ask you this. You've done some stuff. Is Zahn aware that this is a false identity, or are they just aware that there's some oddness to you?
Oh, they definitely know it's a false identity.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. The two of you, the wedding is coming up. in the town, things preparations are being made. You're both invited for whatever reason. Certainly Zahn, because of your relationship to the bride's family. Sue, probably because of your assumed identity, that invitation has been granted. Tell me, why have the people here in the casino boat that you decided to take a little break in? Why are the people, like, why are swords being drawn? Why are guards moving forward? What has happened here that has sparked this moment? Sue, what when the camera comes in on you, what do we see you doing?
I think I have just revealed that I have a winning hand in whatever game we're playing. I'm not aware of the details, and it's an extremely unlikely hand. And someone else was sure that they were winning, and they had a very strong hand. So now they think I'm cheating.
So let's say classic mahjong, although that's a later game, but for the purposes of the film, you know, two of these Wulin brutes have stood up, and the guards have been maybe watching for this opportunity because you've been winning a lot. Zahn, what are you doing? What do we see you when the camera kind of swings over to show your reaction to this?
Maybe you know, I went away from the table, looking for drinks, flirting with people there, and then I'm seeing that, and I draw my fan, but just act innocently and move closer.
Zahn, what tells you as you're watching this, these fellow people that are playing with Sue, and these guards moving in, what tells you that there's more to this, that this might be a setup?
Interesting. So let me see. I can tell by the look of their clothes that they are associated with Captain Fang.
Ooh.
So he is apparently out here to catch some criminals, to make sure the wedding can happen peacefully.
Yeah, Fang may not know exactly who his lieutenants are trying to bring in, but they're definitely his men. This is like the that, and you and Sue have gotten caught up in the middle of this. So that kind of starts. Tears fall. What errand were you sent to do in town? Like the wedding preparation is going on, but you were sent to do something.
Oh, to pick up to find out why certain deliveries. Oh wait, let's see. Does it have to be in the same location as Sue and Zan, or
no? Well, I will swing that in.
Oh, okay. There's a musician, a minstrel of some renown, that they want someone to kind of greet them and bring them to the palace.
And when you met with the musician, they were apologetic. They told you that some of their people had gotten sick and they had to get replacements and so on. It made you a little bit wary, but you know, time was pressing. So you went ahead. As you're traveling back, Jin, this has not been a great week for you. You know some of these people. You've been back and forth. You had a humiliating incident like a week ago. but now you've kind of gathered yourself together. You've got to go back to attend this wedding. What do you think of Tears Fall Like Starlight, the bodyguard to our noble groomsman, or groom, not groomsman?
His reputation is stellar, so I respect him, but I have not had a great conversation with him, so maybe he's aloof. Would you say that's right, Tears? That you're aloof sometimes?
Oh yeah, I can see that. If I'm focused on something else, I might be unintentionally rude.
Yeah, I'm kind of miffed that he never notices me.
Yeah, he's clearly heading back to the wedding. This is an opportunity. How do you like interrupt his step? Maybe you can walk together. How do you do that?
So the way I see it is, also, do you have a season that you're expecting for this, like a fall or a winter or anything like that?
You tell me.
Okay, yeah, so I have fur-lined robes, and I imagine this is a winter.
Oh wedding. Yeah, snow, a little bit of ice, snow is on the ground. You know, that light, beautiful stuff that actually doesn't really fall on people, but you know, yeah.
Okay. And so like crunch, like I'm trying to catch up, because Tears has this pace, right? This gait that, you know, of focus, and I'm like, hey. Trying to get his attention.
I'll just turn my head.
Where are you
slow
going?
Down.
Can I come with?
The minstrel is still here, I assume. Or...
Oh no, you've given him the orders. You just made sure that he's coming. So it's you walking back by yourself, I think, at this point.
All right, cool. So a compliment to you. Well, you have your fur-lined robe. I have my cape, which has daggers. I'm actually trailing little dagger trails in the snow as I walk.
Nice.
I slow down. I am headed back to the wedding preparations.
Everything's going well?
They are. Things are busy, hectic. But there are no major obstacles at the moment.
Oh, I would not think so if you were the one that was tasked to take care of them.
I am hardly a wedding planner. I just do my part.
Still, things seem to become organized around you. I admire that. You certainly are efficient.
Thank you. I do try. Will you be coming to the wedding?
And she blushes a bit and looks down, holding on to her staff, trying to bring up the courage. Yes, I will. I fear that I may have lost all of my place there, but I will certainly bear witness. The temple will be granting its blessings through me.
And perhaps you join and are walking together. Cold wind comes off of the river as the two of you proceed. And as you do, you will see up ahead as one of these small casino barges, lanterns out in front of it. But for the two of you, something strikes you as odd. Usually there would be on the bridge that goes to the shore. There would be a couple of guards there. They're not there. But you can see in this sort of twilight, snow, there are some masked people going around on the deck of this place, like putting things in place. It looks like maybe there's a leader with them, and they it almost looks like little barrels of something with maybe some kind of wick on them that they're planting on the deck of that ship there. It certainly seems like this cannot be anything good.
I exclaim, "Is that the Red Shadow?"
I thought
Red Shadow wears a mask, right?
Yeah. Here in the darkness, you can't tell what kind of mask this leader is wearing. It might be.
Right. Might be, yeah.
I say we shall find out, and I'll yell, "You there? What are you doing?"
Is that?
And I start heading towards them.
Okay, we see you. Rush, do you follow in his wake, Jin?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, we see the two of you moving like a blur. Meanwhile, inside, Sue, there are a couple of people. You're like, okay, these are serious people here, and these guards are coming. Something is up. You look around like, okay, well, Zan is clearly gonna. And Zan is somewhere else in the room. You know, you see him over there. Fan is up. You know, so what do you do, Sue?
I think while I'm trying to feign innocence, like, oh, well, what do you mean? I've never been this lucky, and that sort of thing. I think I'm pulling out a couple of my daggers, like under the table, and getting ready to throw down if things turn that way, or but I'm also looking around the room to see, is there a way out of here quick that I can just escape quickly?
Well, yeah, you know, you can. I mean, you're skilled enough. You can always escape. Do you want to try and read the situation? Do you want to do study here?
Yeah, that sounds cool. Let's do
Okay.
that.
What element do you want to roll that with?
Let's see. I need to read what they are all about.
So while you're doing it, so we have an online roller. I've put the link in the chat. You feel free to use that. You're also welcome to use your own dice at home. Either way, it's up to you.
Yeah, I'm gonna roll with water.
Okay.
Awareness seems suitable, and flexibility.
Okay.
So I have a +1.
Yeah.
Oh, lost connection to game server.
Oh. Yeah, Will has that from time to time.
Yeah, I got, there's a roll there now anyway, and it's a 5.
It is a 5. So I think that you're kind of starting to look around, like you're being cool and calculating, and then they're on you. Like they flip the table. You have to kind of fall back, and the situation has broken out. And maybe even in the chaos of that, you realize that you've dropped your daggers, and you're like, okay, this is not what I expected. But I think you can see that they have, like, one of them has in their hands manacles, which says to you, oh, these are cops. These are magistrates here. This is what I've gotten wound up in here. Zan, what do you do when suddenly table goes flying, tiles go everywhere, money hits the floor, people are scrambling for it, and it looks like these two are clearly going to try and wrap Sue up, but then they've also got these guards who are around.
Sorry, what was the last part?
We've also got these guards that are kind of in the room as well, essentially the casino guards.
Oh, okay.
They've probably been paid off to either ignore or to help out with this.
Okay, so I can't really go for them. Would it be possible to have like something like a smoke bomb?
Sure. Sure. You wanna let that off?
Yeah.
What's your intent? What do you want to have happen when you let the smoke bomb off in here?
Basically confusion, and the main goal here is that the magistrates are not able to arrest Zoo.
Sure. That feels like an overcome action. So
Right.
Yeah, let's have you roll that move. What do you want to roll that with for tossing the smoke bomb into a crowded room?
Yeah, let's see. So one question.
Sure.
If I roll with fire, do I immediately mark it, or only
Nope.
if
I tell you mark an element as a result of a fail?
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, fire feels appropriate.
Okay, let's have you roll.
Let's see. So 2d6. And did I roll already?
Look here. I see Red Shadows on got an 11. +2 is a 13. So
oh, fair enough. There it is.
you throw it. The guards don't even notice that you've done this. They don't even catch sight of it. It lands in front of the two magistrates, goes off immediately, and they're kind of coordinated, so they'd be dangerous together, but I think this is going to push them in separate directions, so they're a little easier to deal with. And suddenly there's smoke and coughing and all of that, and we cut outside. Jin, how do you make your approach here with these guys? Do you wait for Tears Fall to act, or are you charging forward at these masked figures that are planting bombs and this leader?
So I lack restraint. I am reckless. I have no judge of who's more powerful than me. So unless Tears grabs me by the robes, which you can, I will totally give you that option. I am just going to zoom forward and like assume that there's villainy going on and swiping out with my staff.
Okay, Tears Fall, when you see Jin charge forward, are you stopping them, or are you more focused on heading in as well?
Yeah, no, I don't stop Jin. I'm kind of more of like a tank where I kind of, as I come closer, I slow down and get ready to fight.
Okay.
Trying to draw them to me rather than me to.
Sure.
To them, yeah.
So getting yourself kind of moving over onto the barge, getting in position so that they have to come to you.
Right.
Okay. Well, Jin, you can leap across the gap between the docks and the barge. Who do you want to engage with? Do you want to engage with this leader, or do you want to deal with these troops that are essentially bombs of some kind?
Well, certainly if I defeat their leader, they'll stop doing what they're going to be doing. So how are we going after the leader? Absolutely.
When you fight someone above your scale, please roll.
Okay. I thought I failed automatically. Doesn't it?
Yes, you do. But the roll is to tell us how badly that goes.
Okay. Well, my fighting style is metal, so I assume I roll metal. Is that correct? Okay. So yeah, this reckless youth trying to use calculation and reflection in a fight, as you can see, it doesn't work very well. So I've got to go ahead.
Yeah, no, go ahead. Yeah.
All right. So I got a 2d6 plus 1.
Okay.
And I got a 6.
Got a 6 now.
Do I mark experience?
No, unfortunately not.
Okay. All right.
But you have bonds. You could bump that up to a 7, which means you just have to mark an element, and you get to kind of narrate how you lose.
Okay.
Do you want to burn one of those bonds?
How do I regain a bond?
In between scenes, you can do the comfort and support action, and there's a roll to generate bonds.
Okay. Yes. I yell out, you'll not be ruining Dawning Joy's wedding with your villainy, and so I'll burn the bond with Dawning Joy. And
so you get to you mark an element of your choice as a result of this,
including wounded.
You can mark wounded as well if you want.
Okay. So if I mark wounded, everybody else gets a +1. So I'm going to do that.
Okay. So what do we see? This guy has a big saber. You leap across. You land, and when you engage, you realize, oh no, this person is very dangerous. So what do we see on screen happen here?
So I leap forward, and before I even see the saber be pulled out, like I'm striking down with my iron staff, and there's a couple of clangs as my blows are deflected. But then, like, the saber hits my staff, and it reverberates through me.
Yeah.
And I say I'm taking step back after step back. And in addition to trying to block, I'm just like slash on the arm and slash on the arm, and that lovely fake blood on my arms.
Yeah, absolutely.
She's just like, oh no.
Yeah, this green masked villain is pushing you back and is laughing and roaring at you that you have come to face him alone. Tears fall. You're also moving up. You see Jin engage, maybe not do so well. Oh, this is a dangerous foe, but then there are also these troops that have these bombs that they're getting ready and have suddenly been alerted to a change in situation.
Right. Do I have to roll to get them to stop what they're doing to fight me? Like, I want to pose such a threat that
they are troops. So it is a simple move. Deal with troops. All right, and then cool. If you roll well enough, you get to tell me what that looks like.
All right. So
you roll with your fighting style for this. What's your element?
What is my element? Should be earth.
Yeah, so roll with a +2.
Okay. 11.
So you look awesome. You do this. Tell me what it looks like. There are like a dozen of these troops. What does it look like as you like move through them?
Right. So I draw my sword really quickly, and I rattle the rattle handler hilt, and yeah, they the first one falls fast, and as the others realize, oh, this is a real threat, they start coming in faster, and I'm just like, they're actually coming to me rather than me going through them. And I'm just kind of like set, and as they come to me, boom, 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 kind of like a fruit ninja or something.
Yeah. Yeah. You plant your solid stance, they come at you, and boom, they're sent aside, off over the rail. A couple of them will go through the doors into the casino itself. So inside, Zan and Sue will suddenly see these masked figures come crashing through the window, and you cut all the way through them. They didn't even have a chance to light any of those bombs.
Excellent.
Sue, the situation has changed. Smoke bomb, those magistrates are pulled aside, and then suddenly people coming flying in. You might see tears fall through the smoke there. What do you do?
It seems like a cue to leave.
Okay.
So
do you want to roll your escape move to get out and like to wherever you want to be?
Yeah, I think I'm going to do that. So the smoke bomb goes off. and they look around, snatch one of their daggers they had dropped on the floor, and try to like sneak up to or rush up to the wall and then sneak out the way this the other ones came in.
Sure. Let's have you roll. What do you want to roll Royal Tramp with?
Yeah, okay. So this is probably, yeah, this has to be with fire. It's just reacting quickly and grabbing the chance while it's there. Guys.
Look at that.
I lost connection. Yeah.
You get a 10.
Oh, nice.
So you are gone. You can hit one of those broken open windows, kind of flip yourself up onto the top of the boat. You could easily jump to shore, but I think you take a moment to look around, and you see that Tears Fall has just defeated these troops, and that Jin, who you've met, is engaged with this other clearly quite nasty a warrior there. But you are perfectly safe. Zan, how do you want to take advantage of this moment?
I can take another with me.
Oh,
could that be Jin? I mean, she wasn't inside, but I think if I'm like leaving the boat.
Yeah. Well, how about this? Let's say, Jin, are you okay with Sue kind of arriving and pulling you out of that melee with
Yeah,
this?
of course. If you're
oh, perfect. Yeah.
So there's this blur, and then you're on the shore with Sue away from this fight, and this guy is looking around, like trying to figure out where you went. Sue, what do you say to Jin?
Pardon me for manhandling you like this, but it seemed you could use some assistance.
So there's this inner conflict that Jen has right now because Sue is evil.
Oh yeah,
and she knows it.
So yeah, this villain has just saved you.
Right.
Let's have you roll inner conflict. What do you want to roll that with?
This is all a ploy.
Yeah, it's clearly all set up.
So yeah, I think I'll roll water for awareness.
All right.
Yeah. So that's it would be a +2, but I'm wounded, so that's a nothing.
That is a flat.
Yeah. Ooh, got a 5. What happens?
So I think that mark your water.
Ooh, ouch.
And I think that you step back, like you pull out of Sue's arms, and it's at that moment that you realize you're on a dock.
Right.
And I
fall
think
into water.
we see boof, and you go right into the water.
I love it. I love it so much.
Zan, let's come to you.
Can we do the whole arm thing? Yeah. Okay.
Fall much further than it ought to be, kind of thing.
Right.
Zan, you see this situation. Sue gets out. There's still these magistrates. There are these guards, but now these things have been knocked open. These windows. You see that Tears Fall is dispatching some troops. You see this other villain in a green mask. Oh, what? That he's copying you. So what do you want to do?
So I imagine it like there's chaos and still smoke, and since Sue has escaped, I'm quite happy because the magistrates don't want to arrest me currently. So basically, what I'm doing is like grabbing the most expensive liquor because there's chaos, and
absolutely.
I'm just taking a sip, going calmly outside, and then I see that guy in the green mask, and I stop, and I see tears falling, and I try to sneak up on that villain,
Okay.
yeah, see what's his deal.
So are you trying to assess him with a study? Are you trying to steal something from him? What are you doing?
Oh, that'd be interesting to steal something from him. Maybe. Okay, let's do it this way. I sneak up on him, and I want to loosen his mask so
Okay.
it falls off.
All right, that's an overcome.
To humiliate him.
Yeah, overcome action. So what do you want to roll that with to do this trickery? By the way, you get a +1 forward from Jin's marking of wounded, so you get an additional +1 to your roll.
Oh, great. So what would make sense? Yeah, it's probably fire.
Okay.
It's speedy. I sneak up on him and draw like a very small and thin dagger, and let's see how the rope goes. So is it a 7?
Yeah.
+2 +3, so it's 10.
10. So he doesn't even realize you're there. That comes off, and suddenly that mask that he has on goes falling, and he's like trying to catch it. Let's come back to Jin, and then we'll see what Tears Fall does in reaction. You hit that water, Jin. Not a great night.
No, it's not. It's freezing water because it's winter. Yeah. But I can I assume that Sue has put a hand out, and I have to like humble myself to take it, or are you just watching me, Sue?
What do you think, Anders?
I think I what do you call it? Throw out my my belt. Like I have this wide cloth belt, and I throw that to.
It extends farther than it should and comes flying over to where you're at. Do you take it?
I unfortunately have to take it.
Pulls you out. You are soaked. Hair is soaked.
Right.
Your makeup's still perfect, but everything is wet and shivering now. Your fur-lined cloak, of course, now it's super wet.
Right. Thank you.
I couldn't very well let poor little what do I is the title, is it monk or nun or
monk is fine for me.
Monk, yeah. Poor little monk drown on this in such cold and nasty river.
Could I one thing? This is an opportunity for a pun. So I'm fur-lined and I'm a monk. You might call me a chipmunk as like a
yeah, absolutely. I couldn't let the poor little chipmunk drown.
Nice.
Yes. Okay. All right.
Nice. Let's cut back to Tears Fall. Tears Fall. The last of these guys falls. You turn back to this villain. Jin is gone. He, raises his sword, and then suddenly his mask pops off, and he's desperately grabbing for it. What do you do?
Just for flavor, can I say, like, it falls to the ground, and and then as he's picking up a dagger, you know, pins it to the deck.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, he goes to reach for it and shtung, as it hits there. And this guy, with scar down his face, looks up at you. His blade's still out.
How dare you try to cause chaos so close to the royal nuptials? And I'll take a step closer. Do I recognize this person at all?
You recognize him as a sort of a paid assassin, hired killer.
Assassin hired killer. Huh. What is your business here? I'll point the sword at his head.
All right. So I think this is Hearts and Minds to essentially get him to like give up any answers. I think because of your blade, you're going to get a +1 on this. It feels like that's appropriate here. And I think he's only willing to answer because he's been put in this awkward situation by Zahn. Otherwise, he's a pretty formidable guy, and he might go for you. But let's see what happens.
7.
A 7. So I think that.
Did you include your +1 for me? I know it's just.
I didn't. So it'd be 8. Yeah.
8. I think that he doesn't say anything, but there is that moment where he looks over at Sue on the shoreline, and you're certain that he's here to kill Sue.
Ooh.
And he makes to try and Lightfoot escape out of here. Zahn, you're kind of back behind. You see that exchange. Tears Fall still in front of him. Tears Fall has his blade out. This guy has his blade out, but it looks like he's going to try and escape. What do you want to do, Zahn?
Maybe I think stop him from escaping. Like,
how do you want to do that?
So I'm picturing that he was looking around. He put down the liquor bottle. It's half empty by now, and he's catching a rope and throws it. And maybe when the assassin is about to jump, he wants to catch him midair.
Okay. So Tears Fall, you see this guy do that lightness up into the air, and suddenly this rope wraps around his leg, and he's thrown back down to the deck of the ship.
I'll pin the sleeve of his sword arm down onto the ground and try to mobilize him that way.
We will see the two of you. I mean, he is easily wrapped up now. He's thrown off balance, and probably the magistrates that were inside, coughing, come out, and they're like, Tears Fall. Oh, you've caught a villain.
He was going to blow up the boat.
Well, we will take him into custody, and we will drag him before the captain, before Captain Fang.
I will give a quick glance to Sue just to see if Sue wants to do anything. I kind of feel like I'm not going to bring it up unless Sue brings it up.
I'm not going to intervene in this.
Okay.
And I think Zen makes himself known. So he walks out of the shadow and says, "Oh, Tears, thank God you're here. And towards the guards and the magistrates, he says, "I'll send Captain Fang my thank yous, because otherwise, if y'all didn't stop this criminal act, then the wedding of my cousin would have been off." And I'm really happy that you could solve the situation.
They seem pleased with having caught at least someone. And they wrap him up. You know, they will take credit for this, but they will drag him off. So I think we kind of cut to the riverside. Jin, as Tears and Zahn join you, the four there. You're still a little shivery. How do you greet Zahn?
Well, first I sneeze. Right. Zahn. What is my relationship with Zahn?
Not great.
I mean, if you want to, I can start by saying, having the fan out and popping it together and say, "Oh, Jim, that's brave of you showing up."
Oh. Does that feel like, does that rise to the level of inner conflict, or you think you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think the thing I should remember is, like, if it feels like an inner conflict, if I'm having trouble making a decision what to do, I should just roll.
Yeah.
Okay. So that brings up a fiery passion in me. So I'm going to roll fire.
Yeah.
Plus 1 minus 2 is a -1, and I can't succeed. I got a 6.
That is 6. So the good news is that you get experience for rolling inner conflict. How do you?
Oh, so I should have 2 experience then?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Cool.
What is the look on your face or the reaction you give that gives Zahn the satisfaction?
So my face gets just red, like an entire night's worth of alcohol red.
Mm-hmm.
And I take my staff, I slap it into the ground, and I just start to walk off.
Yeah, I imagine too, as you go to walk off, there may be a couple bits where we see you like slip a little bit on the ice, just to add to the humiliation.
I never turn around. My shoulders never stop being squared. I am walking off.
And may I just add, talking to the others, I say, "Oh, did I say something wrong? I complimented her for being brave, you know."
I'll shrug because I don't know this backstory, my character.
And I think we kind of close out that scene with the four of you heading to the wedding. Because we have a little bit of time between scenes, we're going to start again the next scene in at the estate. If you have an element marked or wounded, you can clear one of those. Essentially, you have the opportunity to catch your breath. We cut, remarkably, Jin, you're now dry because we cut to another scene in true, drama style, and beautiful estate, red lanterns, beautiful banners, big wall compound. Guests are still arriving from the Wulin world. Here, invitations are being checked. Security is there. So what I'm going to do is you've arrived. I want to go around with each of you and check who you want to talk to, what you want to do here. Kind of do that once around. And Jin, I feel like you suffered the most in the last scene. So do you want to go first or last?
Ooh. I'll go last.
Okay.
I'll go last. Let's see what tension builds up.
So Sue, you arrive here. Apparently somebody was there to kill you. You know that your your fiance is here already. You've arrived with your friends. You are greeted warmly, you know, because you're well respected and people know your sterling reputation. So when you arrive, what do you do? Who do you want to talk to?
I think I want to. I should pay my respects to the host family. Are we? Is this hosted by the groom or by the bride?
By the groom.
Groom's family, yeah. So if Fearless Gelan or her representative, I will go there and introduce myself, pay my respects, that sort of thing.
Okay. I'm going to resolve that. Let's take 5 here for a quick bio break. And then we will have you interact with Zalan. Okay. We will start back with you. You will approach this Zalan. She turns and greets you. And says, "It is good to see you, Sue. I spoke with your fiance earlier. Told me that your nuptials are upcoming."
Yes, if everything goes as planned, we should be married in the spring.
May I speak privately with you?
Of course, of course.
Gestures for you to step off a little bit to the side. I have great regard for Crystal Yeling. Her family is important to me and my house. So I was somewhat disquieted, somewhat made nervous when I had an odd conversation with Son of Stone and Wrath. And she'll actually gesture, and you can see him across the courtyard there. Is there some turmoil between the two of you?
I think this is inner conflict.
I think so. So Mark XP, what do you want to roll to kind of keep yourself together here?
Yeah. Let's see. Earth, caution,
Yeah.
and focus. Yeah, trying not to give anything away.
Let's have you roll.
Yeah. Let's see how that lost connection. I don't usually have this much trouble with this dice roller, but the 9.
So you have a choice. You could burn a bond to get to a 10 and keep yourself absolutely together, or you can stay at the 9 and you can flee, or you can mark Earth and stay there.
I'm going to burn a bond. I'm going to use my bond with Crystal Yeling, because this is really important. So I'm thinking about her. I believe that Son of Stone and Wrath has little regard for someone such as myself who is less devoted to the martial disciplines. Like I assume he's kind of a
Yes.
soldierly type. And I fear that this may have colored his perception of me as a person.
I'm sure that's all it is. I'm sure that's all it is. Well, I look forward to seeing you again during the ceremonies, and thank you for coming.
It's a great honor to be here, and I look forward to the ceremony.
Let's cut to Tears Fall. You've returned back. Your mission completed. You've had this weird experience with Sue being a target of an assassination and Jin dropping in the river. And so what are you, who do you want to talk to? What are you up to?
I'm actually, in game terms, I want to build up my bond with the prince. So I want to try to make him feel secure that, the wedding day is going to be, everything's prepared.
Absolutely.
Right.
So we see you make your way through. Do you use the prince with other people, or do you find the prince, Righteous Jade, by himself?
We'll say that he is with, maybe talking with some other people. I don't care. I just like walk up next to him and I just like talking to him, kind of like softly, like just for him.
Oh, and he turns and he says, "How did things go?"
So I'm not gonna make him worry about what happened at the casino thing.
Okay.
I'm not even gonna mention that. I'm just gonna say, the minstrels are on their way, and they are ready to celebrate this joyous moment for you and dawning joy.
And I think you're like, we have the move impress, which is used to you're trying to impress that things are okay and that you have things in hand, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's have you roll that impress.
Okay, and I choose the element, I guess.
Yeah. What element represents your attempt to kind of curry some favor here?
I think it would be wood, actually, because I'm also trying to see how he feels about me, and I'm trying to hope for a last minute change of heart where he calls off the wedding, and trying to be patient and see if he responds finally. A 13.
A 13. So on a hit, you impress, and you get to pick two options. You can pick these twice. Create a bond with someone watching, clear a marked element, gain a favor from an observer. So you get to pick two of those or one of those twice.
Okay. I'll do two bonds with the prince.
Okay.
Two. And I think max is three plus.
Yeah.
Three? Okay, so I'm at 3.
He definitely he reaches out and he puts his hand on yours, and he says, "Thank you. I don't know what I would do without you here."
Okay. I give a very rare smile.
And everything is set. I know we haven't had a chance to speak as we once did. I value your counsel. Perhaps we can speak in private later.
Yes, I say, my counsel is always yours.
After the meal, I will be in the garden. Come and find me there.
I nod, and I'll step back, let him continue his conversation, but I'm I'm fluttering inside.
Zan, what are you doing?
So I think
look at all these wedding gifts. Look at all these people in their finery. This place is spilling over with delicious wealth. I'm just thought I'd mention that too.
I think, it's really, really difficult for me to focus because there's so much I could take and they wouldn't even notice, you know. But I think I've set my mind for meeting my cousin, the bride, and I'm really looking to find out what she's up to, what she's feeling regarding the wedding, and if she's got any secrets.
Absolutely. So do you find her by herself, or is she in the company of others?
I think she's with her father, my uncle.
Okay.
Sorry for putting you in the situation of playing two NPCs.
No, he will nod and greet you, and he says, Zahn, it's good to see you. I'm glad that you were able to return. I heard there was some trouble in town.
Yes, uncle. Fortunately, I was safe and I didn't get into any trouble.
I heard that Jin was involved. Is that true?
Does this trigger a move for me? Because I'm conflicted how to answer.
If you feel it rises to the level of inner conflict, then yes, you need to roll.
I think so. Yeah.
Put you on the spot in front of your cousin, asking about this person that he thinks is an evil influence.
Because obviously I'm aware that Jin was there, but she's my friend and I don't know how to answer. And I think I'll roll with Earth. Because I'm cautious. I'm writing my words, what to say. And let's see how it goes. So this is a 6.
This is a 6. Now you could burn a bond to take it to a 7, or you could suffer the results here.
What would the results be?
Oh, they would be bad. Would you like to hear what they'll be bad? Come on.
Yeah, I think I'll suffer the results.
He draws you away so that his daughter can't hear. I have it on good authority that Jin is an assassin.
Oh. And he just stutters and he doesn't know how to reply, you know.
I need you, for the good of the family, to deal with this.
And of course, uncle, I will try to solve the situation, but are you really sure?
I am sure. You will.
For the family, I will do what you ask me to.
Then we have an understanding.
But is it what exactly do you want me to do? Is it okay if I just remove them from the wedding?
Removing from the wedding will not solve the problem, will it? If she is the assassin.
I see.
Puts his heavy hand on your shoulder. You will do this for the family.
Of course, uncle.
Excellent. Well, good. Please drink, enjoy yourself, and I will speak with you later, Zahn. I think we'll cut that scene there. You might have it. We'll do another go around, so you might have a chance to talk with your cousin.
Sure.
Meanwhile, Jin.
So I've had this scene planned from like before you even asked me if I was going to go first or last. So
Okay.
it's incredibly funny. I want to start off the scene by spying on Dawning Joy, which makes me look like an assassin.
Yes. Yeah, you move yourself into position, watching
she's
her.
like, you know, like in front of a mirror, like doing things, like there's maids doing things for her. That's the way I imagine the scene starting.
Yeah, she's just come from that conversation that Zahn was having with her uncle by her, with her father by her, and now she's retreated back to this room, big brass mirror. She's looking. Her handmaids are there, brushing her hair. How do you want to enter this scene?
I was thinking that she would notice me and call me out, because otherwise Jen's just going to, you know, watch and admire.
Yeah, we see that shift to the thing when she looks, and we see the mirror, and then we can see you through the window. We can know that she's seen you, and she will stop, and she will dismiss her handmaids, and they leave, and we see her turn to the window and kind of pull open the curtains, and she says, "Jen, come in from the cold. Don't stand out there in the snow."
Oh God. Melting my heart here, Lowell. So she lightly steps in, afraid that even if like I make a creak on the wood, that it'll offend Dawning Joy somehow.
And she looks at you and she goes, "What has happened? Your clothes. No, this is not right. Hold on. Let me." And you see her go over to her wardrobe, and she draws out some beautiful, colorful silks, and she brings them over to you. Please get changed.
Oh my goodness. So she will, I think for camera purposes, like we've just got like her back,
Mm-hmm.
you know, there's like a half wall in between the camera and me. And I've got my back turned, and I take off the freezing furs that I have, and I'm explaining to her what happened, how, you know, Tears and I saw villainy afoot, and we rushed in to stop it, and the magistrates ended up taking in this green masked man, and
I'm glad you weren't. Oh, but she does look. She says, "You were injured."
yes, nothing that my training hasn't taught me to deal with.
She goes over. She grabs some water and a cloth, and comes and wipes away the blood on your arm.
Okay.
And wraps that.
I think she freezes at that, like being touched by Dawning Joy is incredible. Is this an inner conflict, just whether or not to stay calm?
Yeah, I feel that could certainly be the case here.
Okay, all right. I don't want to min-max and just
no, and that's the thing is the entanglements are the starting point, but it's when you feel like you've hit that point of emotional turmoil, you can call on that. Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. So I'm no longer wounded, so I'm not at -2.
Yeah.
But I think metal is control. Ooh, no, I'm gonna go with wood, because I need to exhibit patience, and I've got all this curiosity about, you know, the purpose of all of this. I'm reading into it too much. So wood's at -1. So I'll go ahead and roll. Ouch. I'm destined to fail all rolls. I got a 2.
Okay. So mark that element.
Okay.
And you see her kind of look, and you realize a tear is running down her cheek. Jen, I don't know what to do. I am to be wed tomorrow to someone I do not love, when there is another who my heart belongs to.
You must be in turmoil.
It is difficult. I have not even told them how I feel.
They don't know?
They do not.
How? You must make it known. You cannot bind your heart with a ceremony that is so tight that it'll crush it.
My duty is to my family, even though my heart is breaking.
And Jen has momentarily overcome her shyness, and she puts her hand on the shoulder for a second to level Dawning Joy up. Surely there must be a way to do both. Make it known.
No, I cannot. I do not know what her husband would say.
Oh my.
I'm going to cut away from you and
Okay,
leave you with that right there.
Okay.
Sue, speaking of which, what are you doing?
I am trying to find Son of Stone and Wrath's quarters.
Okay.
Because now my cunning scheme is to disguise myself as him and very obviously steal something or do something else, be seen, and that will discredit him, and maybe that will solve all my problems.
Oh yeah, no, I think that nothing bad can happen because of that. So I think we have a role for you to be able to gather these items that you need without being spotted. Let's have you roll. What do you think is appropriate for stealthing in, finding the right garments, gathering them, and making your way out without being noticed?
I think Earth works for this. Caution and focus, that sort of thing. Navigating the corridors,
Sure.
watching out for things that might go wrong. Again. Just go get my physical dice. Rolling. That's a 9.
It's a 9. So I think you get these things. You get them. You have exactly what you need to disguise yourself. But I think as you come out, you will hear your friend Ashen Twilight. Sue, I did not know you had arrived. Oh, were you speaking with Son of Stone and Wrath?
Oh, greetings. I'm embarrassed to have been caught at such an inopportune moment.
What is inopportune about it? What's going on? You have the look of someone who's plotting someone or something. She laughs.
I heard a terrible rumor about son of Stone and Wrath.
Really?
And yes, I heard that he was planning to disrupt the wedding, and because he's in love with the bride.
That's not who I heard. He's. I mean, that doesn't seem right to me.
No, I couldn't believe it either, but I had to take it upon myself to investigate. So I took the liberty of inviting myself to his quarters to make sure that nothing was amiss.
You scoundrel! You shouldn't do things. I trust you found nothing.
Of course. Just a scurrilous rumor. Nothing to it.
Well, then, if your mind is assured, you should come and have a drink with me. Let us go out and celebrate with the others.
Yes, of course. I can't very well say no to that.
Yes. And she will draw you away. You know, we probably see you tuck the last little bit of that cloth in the bag so she can't see it, and she will draw you off elsewhere. But you are set for your plan. Tears fall. What do you want to do? What scene do you want? Do you want to do the follow-up scene with the prince, or is there someone else you want to talk to?
Oh, sure. Yeah, we could fast forward a little to the garden.
Okay. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The celebration is going on. People are it's kind of chaos as all the guests arrive. And then we cut to the scene. It's the classic garden. There's a pond. There's a little pavilion in the center with the bridge over to it. We can hear the running water there. It's beautifully appointed. Moonlight coming down on the snow that's here. They've tended to flowers, so there are even flowers blooming despite the weather. And the moonlight catches your good friend Righteous Jade as he's standing there looking off into the waters.
Wow. So I'll have dressed up a little more less combatively as I normally do, and more formally, I guess, which is a rare occasion, but I hope he notes it. And I will cross. He's standing. Did you say at the pavilion or?
Yeah, standing at the railing of it, looking out onto the water.
Right. Okay. I will. Yeah. I will approach him.
Starlight.
Yes. For a second, I'm speechless. I'll just bow.
Things seem to be going okay out there.
Yes. Everything is in order. You said that we have not had a chance to talk much. I agree with that.
I sense you have something you wish to say.
It is not my place, but may I ask how you feel about this wedding?
It is perhaps not the wedding that I would have chosen. if I am completely honest.
Perhaps there are other ways to unite with Dawning Joy's clan. Perhaps business ventures or mutual agreements of defense against enemies.
You say that, but you know the position we are in right now. The wedding is tomorrow. The guests are here. Everything is arranged.
Yeah, I step back. It's just my thought that an unhappy marriage would ripple out and not be good for either clan.
And he turns and he looks at you head on. He says, "Is that your only reason for saying that?"
I would wish for your happiness above all.
I see. My happiness must be my duty to the clan.
All right. I'll nod. And there'll be a pause. And I'll say, but the clan would wish for your happiness as well, no?
You have shown me that duty is more important than happiness.
Oh, that stings. Yeah,
Inner conflict?
Inner conflict, yeah. So I roll something outside my regular element. Yeah, I think fire would be appropriate. A 7.
7. You can flee, or you can mark fire and hold yourself steady there in the face of this.
Right. I'm gonna flee. I will nod. Yeah.
Move away. Without even maybe saying necessarily goodbye, you move away. The camera is on your face. We see him in the backdrop, crunching through the snow. And I think we can see him brush away a tear as you walk away. I gotta take a sip of coffee right now. Wow. Zan.
So many hearts.
Yeah. Wow. Zan,
It's
this
amazing.
burden has been put on you in the midst of this.
Yeah.
What are you thinking? What are you doing?
So I think I will have spoken off screen with my cousin,
Mm-hmm.
and I noticed that she's unhappy. So I'd like to establish that, and then I would like to have a scene with Jin confronting her.
I
That's
think
okay.
when you go to look for Jin, I think you're looking around, and one of the handmaids, they don't know where she is. But I think as you're going to the garden, you look in and you can see your cousin alone with Jin, this potential assassin.
Mm-hmm.
And Jin is no longer in the kind of monk's robes, but in this beautiful outfit. What do you do?
I think I'll remain hidden and try to listen what they're talking about. I sneak up on them.
All right. So what I'm going to do is we're going to kind of shift over to Jin's at the end of that scene and kind of we'll maybe moving back and forth on that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, does that work for you, Jin?
Yeah, that was great.
So
basically, what I'm trying to achieve afterwards is blackmailing her into helping me. So that's the goal I'm having in mind.
Getting some awareness. Let us see.
Yeah.
See, Jin.
Yeah.
This confession has been made, and it is not the confession that you were hoping for.
No, not at all. And I got confused. Was she saying that she's in love with a man or a woman?
She's saying that she is in love with Sue's fiance.
Oh, okay. All right, but I don't know the audience knows it's Crystal. I just
yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But okay. But it's all you know is it's not you.
Right. So I look at myself in the mirror in these dresses, living for a moment, just as a completely different life, completely different family. And I'm ashamed to have, lost my asceticism as a monk. I'm indulging in the temporal world, and I turn to her and I say, "You do not know what might be felt, but maybe an eavesdropping chipmunk might be able to find out."
You would do this for me?
I would do. And her voice catches. She's going to say anything for you, and then she corrects herself. She says, I would do this for you.
She takes your hands. Thank you. You cannot tell anyone what I have said.
We are bound together in the secrecy.
Just a clarifying question: where did that conversation happen? Because I think I'm standing somewhere where every normal person would immediately notice that someone is standing there, but because we're in a TV show, you obviously don't notice me.
Could you be on the roof and just listening to us? You want to?
Mm-hmm.
Would you do that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Completely out of sight, you can hear everything we have to say.
Says, will you speak to Crystal Ealing for me? No, I can't have you do that. What am I saying? This is fantasy. The wedding must occur.
And I put both of my hands on her shoulders and I say, consider it done.
You are too good for me.
And I look down at the robes and I'm like, you are too good for me. I must steel myself and take action. I beg your leave.
Absolutely. You kind of step out the way you came in, out onto the grounds with the snow. Your heart hurting.
Yeah.
Where are you headed when Zahn comes to speak with you?
I am headed to someplace here that has a great fire where I can dry out my monk's robes.
Okay.
And change over. and hopefully someplace where I can be alone with my thoughts. It's her goal. She may have thought before then.
Zahn, if you want to, you can catch Jin before she goes too much further.
So while you are walking, maybe there's like a big fire outside, where people meet before the day of the wedding, and we see it in the background, but we're not there yet, so that we can actually talk, just the two of us.
Just a sec. I think it's a place where you write out a prayer on a strip of paper and then throw it into the fire.
Oh, nice.
Oh, perfect. I love that. Yeah, maybe yes. Then it's not a huge fire, but a smaller one. But you can make wishes for the bride or the groom, and the family. And I approach you and I say, "You look nice. Let's talk openly, shall we?" And Jin, we are friends. Although I tend to mock you sometimes or make fun and poke a bit, but it's from a place of friendship and admiration. My uncle suspects you to be an assassin, but I know you're not. You're not subtle enough. You're not subtle enough. And
what's the look on your face, Jin, as you hear this? I'm curious when the camera kind of turns back to you at these comments.
So, at first she's just like, well, maybe the barbs will stop. Maybe the humiliation will stop. And he's building towards this thing. And then he says, this amazing accusation, and my eyes go wide, and I clutch my wet robes to my chest, and then he says, you couldn't be an assassin, you aren't subtle enough. And she gets angry at that, like once again, you're saying what I can and can't do. But like she can't argue that she's not going to argue that she is an assassin, right? So, we're standing close together, and she says, "Good thing for you that I am not an assassin. We stand here side by side. This could be the end of you."
So, the wedding is really important to my family. And since both clans have a violent history, it really should happen. But I mean, obviously, there's two things I'm having in mind. So first of all, this is most important. The wedding has to happen. And secondly, you have to be dealt with. I promised that to my uncle. But we could probably reach an agreement. If I kind of disguise you, you would have disappeared, and I can surely convince my uncle that I have dealt with you, so you won't return. But most importantly, the wedding has to happen, and I really want to make you aware of that this is my main goal here. But it doesn't have to be my cousin who marries Righteous Jade. It just has to be someone from my family. And if she's unhappy, I might humbly step in, and you're going to help me.
Isn't there a role to convince me thing?
I think so, yeah.
So this is Hearts and Minds. We can go to that, and this is with PCs. They get some choice on this. Yep. Let's have you roll, Zahn. What do you want to roll this with to be so convincing?
Let's see what fits. I think metal.
Okay.
So it's very calculating. Let's see how it goes. That's an 11.
That is an 11. Jin, this offer is put to you. Do you want to agree with this? Do you want to go along with this?
Well, on a meta level, I've already got 2 stats, 2 elements marked. I don't know what I could do, what I would do if I had 3 elements marked.
You could also mark, do you have any bonds left?
Oh.
You can mark a bond to avoid having to mark an element if you decline.
I don't know how Ashen Twilight would, but okay. So to confirm, Zahn, you're saying, A, I'm going to help you disguise yourself so no one knows you're here, right? So that it looks like you've taken care of me, right? That's the first thing. Is that correct?
Yeah, you should disguise yourself as someone else.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I am to assist you in helping you marry Righteous Jade.
Yes, because everything is here, the wedding has to happen, but it doesn't have to be my cousin.
Okay. Well, I think that still lines up with my desires, is that I have Dawning Joy not marry Righteous Jade, now that I know this thing. So let me get back to role playing then. Do you know how Righteous Jade feels? Will he accept you?
I think this triggers almost a role for me because I know how I feel.
Let's have you roll.
Yeah,
And
so that's hard to
mark. And I'm agreeing to do it, so I'm marking experience. Is that right?
Yep.
Okay. Sorry.
No.
So that's in a conflict for me, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Because the audience sees him, and he had this speech and came up with that cunning plan, but that's actually a hole in his plan you're pointing out, and then we see him really not sure and thinking about it, and I think I'll roll with Earth. Caution. That's a 9.
That is a 9. So you can mark Earth and keep yourself there, or you can like this is too much and you have to flee away.
I will mark Earth.
Okay. So you keep yourself steady.
Couldn't he like burn a bond and get to 10?
Yes, he could also do that. Yes.
What would be the advantage that I don't have to?
You wouldn't have to mark an element then.
Fair enough. I think I will mark Earth.
Okay.
Because that will inform how I continue from here.
Right.
And back to the scene, and we see Zahn thinking for a moment, and he carefully says, well, I'm pretty sure for our families, we will grow together. So don't you worry about that.
So Jin puts the hand and fist up is both an acknowledgement that I will do what you're asking me to do, but also that your statement, seals the deal. And mysteriously, my clothes are all warm and dry now, and I say, I'm off to find a disguise then. Your uncle won't know I'm here.
And I think maybe we see you heading your separate ways, knowing that the next step besides disguise is you have to spirit Dawning Joy out of here so that you can swap out the who's going to be married. And I think that's the next step on the table. Let me cut to Sue. How are you putting this plan into action to frame Son of Stone and Wrath? Or is there something else you wish to do now?
No, that's still my plan. I think, maybe while we're out drinking, I excuse myself momentarily. I just, like I need to take some fresh air just for a moment. I put on the clothes I stole, and I'm trying to figure out a good place to steal something where I'm sure to be seen, but unlikely to be caught, I guess.
Absolutely. Yeah, there are some beautiful items in the gift displays that you could, rooms where you could drop down and a servant or a guard could see you before you make your way away, leave some evidence. Yeah.
Or I could break into the bride's or the groom's room and steal something there.
Absolutely. Let's have you roll. What do you want to roll that with?
I have no idea, but I picked the imposter move, so I have a perfect disguise.
Perfect disguise.
Yes. But let's see. I think I have to roll with fire here.
Okay.
It's my passion for crystal yelling, and I'm trying to be creative. So moving the page. That's a 5. Oh my god. Oh. Yeah, a bond won't save me there.
So give me a second to put that hard move on this shelf I've got over here so I can hard frame something together a moment. I want to check in with Tears Fall, and then all paths are going to cross. Tears Fall, you've had this moment with the prince. What are you doing now?
Right, so now that I have some time alone, I realize that I have to make it clear how I feel, but I can't announce it to everyone. So maybe like a flashback where when we were younger, and this girl had given the prince this flower, and a lavender chrysanthemum, and I knew the tale, and I told the prince that it's a sign of love, and there's a whole folk tale that that follows the symbol of this flower. So I guess on the day of the wedding, I'm gonna, somewhere on the prince's path, he's gonna see that chrysanthemum on the ground.
Can I frame this a little further forward? Can I have you do that evening?
Sure. It will be on the ground, but it won't be growing out of the ground when he picks it up, he's gonna see that it's tied to one of my daggers that has been put into the staked into the ground, so that he knows it's for me.
And I think we see that, and then I think the scene changes, and we see a door fly open, and we see the prince there at your room. He has the dagger and the flower in his hand. He says, "Come away with me. Let's leave. We leave now."
Wow. Right. So so I have to ask him, are you sure?
I have never been more sure in my life.
So yeah. I don't take anything with me. I have everything I need with him.
I think we see you rush out. Now, here's where I'm going to hard frame. I think we see you running with him. Snow is coming down. I think we cut to Jin and Zahn with Dawning Joy and dressed up in their fur robes. We also see our Crystal Yiling. I think we see the four of them moving along. And I think there is that moment where, clearly heading to the exit to flee the grounds, where the two paths meet. And that sort of shocked silence there. And Sue, you're very happy. You've gotten your goods. You've stolen the stuff. You're all excited. And I think you drop down, and I think you read the scene immediately. You see that Righteous Jade and your friend Tears Fall, the person you know, are running away. But at the same time, Zahn is clearly helping Dawning Joy flee. She is hand in hand with Crystal Yiling, the woman you love, running away. There's another person there, but they're in disguise, so you're not sure who they are. But I also think that with that miss, I think that your disguise, like it breaks. Like, what is it you say that gives it away, that even though you're disguised as Stun to Stone and Wrath, that this is you?
Oh, I think I use some secret nickname or pet name I have for Crystal Yiling. Something only she would know.
She starts, Sue.
Oh, and that's when I pull like the hat off, and everyone can see it's me.
Everyone is kind of standing there, frozen as the snow comes down. Jin, what do you do? What do you say?
I grab a hand each of Dawning Joy and Crystal, and I'm like, we must be off. And like, I'm trying to make them run.
Zahn, you see the man you love running off. His passion was strong enough that he would flee the wedding with Tears Fall. What's your reaction, Zahn?
Fight for your love.
Yeah, I think that sounds plausible. Righteous Jade, you have to stay. The wedding has to happen. obviously you can't marry my cousin, but surely you will be able to love me. And if it has to be, I will fight tears to prove my love.
Tears, how do you react to that?
Zan, you... look at the prince. You are young, you have the world. The prince wishes to be with me. You must respect that wish. You have so much going for you. You must find love elsewhere. But this path is closed to you.
Don't you see that this will mean war between both clans, and many people will die because of your selfishness? Obviously, Righteous Jade has to stay and marry me. This isn't a matter of me, you know?
Tears fall. Are you drawing your blade?
Right. So yeah, and since my hand is trembling, the sword is rattling as it comes out.
And I think we see that. Sue, you see this stranger dragging the bride and your fiance away. What do you do?
I rush after them, and I reach out for Crystal Yelling's hand without quite taking it. And is this truly what you want? Is this your heart's desire?
She clutches at Dawning Joy's hand. I'm so sorry. I never meant to lie to you.
I thought we felt the same way.
She's just shaking her head, shamed and embarrassed. Are you going to let her go, Sue? Or are you going to fight for her?
I have to roll in a conflict.
Okay.
Yeah. So annoyed at the.
I know. If you have to dice, just grab some dice.
Yeah, I keep forgetting to grab some, but yeah, just do this, 2d6, and this is. Ooh, I have to choose something. Patient growth, curiosity seems right. Growth seems right. So it's wood. That's a 0. I roll an 8.
What do you feel is the right thing to do?
Well, the right thing to do is to let her go, because after all this, there's no way we can be married. I've been exposed, and with this way, she at least has some opportunity for happiness.
Do you want to mark that element and let her go?
Yeah.
Jin, you see this villain. Let her go. You can see his heart break even as you're watching him.
I don't think Jen believes it. I think it's a ploy. So I rush the two women behind me, and my staff comes out, and I'm dueling with Sue at this point to get him to truly back down and not just fake back down.
All right, let's resolve these two moments. Zahn, you were the one who issued the original challenge here to Tears Fall. So the way that PvP works in this game is this. You get to make an offer. The offer can be experience points. It can be bonds. It can be changes to entanglements. At one big climactic thing in one of the series, Sherry said to Patrick, "Let me win the duel, but I'll let you narrate how it all goes down." You can make any kind of offer that you want to Tears Fall, and then Tears Fall decides whether they wish to accept that offer and lose the duel, or decline and win.
And just to clarify, winning for him would mean fleeing with the groom.
I think that seems right. Tears Fall. Does that seem like the win state for you?
I was, yes, but I
okay. Let's hear his offer.
Because I offer you the identity of the Red Shadow, who you've sworn to strike down. And obviously, we don't have to talk meta.
Right, right.
No.
But on a meta level, that's a good dramatic offer there. Tears Fall.
Yeah, I'll say between love and more killing, I will choose love.
And so you're going to let Zahn win?
Oh, he gets.
Yeah, he makes an offer, and if you take the offer, then he gets to win the duel, but you get a new life.
Wait. Now I'm confused.
Yeah. So Zahn, you're making an offer. You're saying,
yes,
if you let me win the duel,
yes,
you can have this identity of the Red Shadow. That's the offer that you put on the table.
Oh, I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to that. I thought I would let him know who the Red Shadow is, so he's able to strike them down.
Okay.
Because that's one of your main motivations. But then you wouldn't be able to flee with the
yeah.
broom.
So what tangible are you offering him to allow him to win the duel and get away?
I wouldn't, because that would be my lose situation, right?
Yeah, but you challenge him to a duel. So
yes.
What as a PC do you want to offer narratively to him, or is it that you want to take the loss?
So is it that Zahn is offering, if Zahn is allowed to win, then Tears Fall will find out the identity of the Red Mask.
Okay.
Yes, sorry, that was my intention.
Okay, so that's the offer on the table. So if you let Zahn win Tears Fall, you will lose the duel, but you will learn the identity of Red Shadow.
And then if I refuse it, what happens?
If you refuse it, you can decide whether you win or this is just a draw.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think I would I think Zahn would do something that makes me realize he's the red shadow, and I would refuse. Refuse the offer because now I already know.
Well, so you're only going to learn that if you accept the
Okay.
offer.
All right, so we'll take that.
Yeah, no.
But it's totally fine if we just
This
fight.
is a one of those moments where we have to kind of do a little negotiation to get that settled.
Right. So yeah, no. When I
Which
said,
is more dramatic? I mean, do you really want to win, or is it more dramatic that you fall in these last moments? What do you want?
Right. So what I'll, if I can say this, I'll say that I refuse the offer, but Zahn's word actually affected the prince, who has decided against this, against running away.
Oh, so
Ooh.
there is that moment that we see you cross. Zahn, are you just injured, or does Tears Fall kill you in this duel?
Oh. What? I think I'm injured because obviously the prince decides to change his mind.
Yeah. So where do you start? We see that exchange. We see you with the fan. We see that coming, that the swords strike against me. We hear the rattle of the blade. We see the sparks fly. And there is that moment. Where do you like land that blow that is an injuring blow? Tears Fall.
Right. So throughout the fight, I'm keep telling him to just surrender and I'll give you life. But Zahn keeps fighting. Eventually, I cut through the fan and strike Zan's arm.
Blood on the snow. Fan falls to the ground, and I think as you raise your blade up, you feel a hand on your shoulder, and the prince says, "No, I'm so sorry. Stop." And pulls you back, and he is weeping. But even as that is going on, Jin, you've raised your staff against Sue here. You realize that Sue probably doesn't know it's you. Do you show who you are? You're muted.
Yes, I pull back the hood that I was wearing, and now it is obviously me. My long braid flowing in the cold winter wind, which is piercing right now.
Right.
You who bring evil with you wherever you go. I will stand in defense, and you will be defeated. And then I need to make an offer.
Yeah. What you move up, Sue? Is there? What are you offering Sue to let you win?
Gosh, I don't know. The common things you said were like XP.
You could offer XP, changes to entanglements, narrating the moment, anything you want to offer them, like anything you think that could convince Sue. And convince Anders as well. So that's the more important part of that. So
I offer you the chance to not only be known by everyone as good, but to be known as who you are and not the person you're pretending to be.
Good offer. Anders.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, I was already set on letting her go, and this is enough to convince me to lose. Yeah, I will accept that.
So Jin, you go in to strike, and Sue, do you defend or do you just let her land that blow?
I think I think I reflexively defend myself, but it's kind of half-hearted. I'm distracted. I look at I pull out my daggers. I try to deflect the staff, all that sort of thing.
If I might,
yeah.
What if it's like a series of blows, but as I accuse you of things, your heart comes out and you deny them all, and everyone hears and knows you to be these things. And so I make the accusations and you deny them, and like your heart rings true in the air and people can hear it. And even though you end up on the ground with the staff in front of you, the world knows who you really are. And so I have the staff at you and I say, then what is your name?
Sue, you've made these choices. What do you say at that moment?
I say, my name does not matter anymore. I was just one who deceived, fell in love, and was deceived in turn. And that's when I sort of roll over, and I've been stuck with one of my own daggers, and my blood is staining my beautiful white cloak.
Right, cloak stains the snow, and we see that last breath. The breath appears in the air, and Jin, you're kind of looking down, and there are witnesses around. What's the look on Jin's face at this realization?
Jin is starting to cry. Their words have hit her in the chest, and this this ability to give up their identity at the end to say that they aren't anything is exactly what monks strive for, right? And like this scene crystallizes in her mind and her heart, and she drops down and she tries to save you, right? Like she's trying to stop the blood.
Camera pulls up and up and up. That shot of you together, the crying. All right, epilogues. Tears fall in the sort of the end sequence, either in the immediate aftermath of this or down the road sometime. What do we see of you? What is your scene? What is your future?
Oh, I think there's maybe like some flashes from the wedding where Tears Fall will just be stone faced and just basically a statue throughout the whole wedding, not even making eye contact with the prince. But afterwards, when he's alone in his room, he finds not one chrysanthemum, but another one entwined their stems, and he tied to his dagger, and he puts his dagger back into his cape. and it just shadowed.
Oh, nice. Zahn, what is your epilogue? What do we see of you?
I think I'll go full villain here. So um, in one scene we see the wedding, and it's really nice and very flamboyant and elegant and everything. And he obviously is injured, but maybe the groom isn't super happy, so he obviously smiles, but he doesn't smile with his eyes. But Zahn is really happy, and afterwards, in a quiet moment, he has a conversation with Captain Fang, and he says, "I don't believe that you've been fooled for so long by tears. You've had the Red Shadow next to you all the time. Now's your chance to capture them."
I think we done on that note. Jin, what
Can I go last?
Oh, sure. Well, Sue, what do we see of you that tells us something about how you remembered, maybe, or how you're perceived, or the other Sue? What do we see?
I think we see Son of Stone and Wrath, reading out some sort of proclamation or like at a memorial or something, that sort of thing, about the good deeds that Sue did, that they were an honorable person and did the right thing, that sort of thing.
You can see he is shamefaced. He is ashen. What has happened has changed his heart, and he is filled with regrets for having shamed your name. Jin, then what is your epilogue?
Mine is one of those scenes where you can tell that people are talking, but there's no sound of it. Crystal, Dawning Joy, and I all stand by a river in the snow. I have a book in my hands, and I am marrying the two of them.
Nice. And that's our movie. Thank you all so much. If you don't mind, if people can give me just another, we'll do a quick round of stars and wishes, just to kind of identify particularly things you liked about the play, about other people's stuff, about characterization, any of that stuff, and any wishes, or just if you have anything that you're like, okay, the next time you run this, we'll think about this, or whatnot. Wow. Rod, this is the first time I got a chance to play with you. This is, I had a very good time. Anything you want to point out as stars or want to throw as wishes?
I started out regretting I didn't do more prep work and reading in the rules, but as the story kept progressing, it mattered less. The mechanics mattered much less than what was going on, and that you were able to draw the emotions, and the rules just supported all that. And then stars for the players were amazing. It's just, it felt like being in a movie. Yeah.
That moment when you went full stoic in that conversation with the prince, oh, that was just, you kind of killed me there. It was holy moly. Awesome. Anything else you want to say?
Yeah, I don't know. I'll just say again, great, great playing, great DMing. I loved it. Yeah.
Michael, stars, wishes?
Okay, so first of all, thank you very much. It was so much fun playing with y'all, and you've done an amazing job, Lowell, juggling all those pieces and putting them together and coming back. So the idea Mark had, that was really good, and you always incorporated the season and the snow, and that felt really cinematic. So I love that. And yeah, that was so tragic because obviously it would have been so much better in a way of a happy ending if the prince would have been able to run away with tears. But yeah, I really liked how tragic it was. And I wouldn't say I have particular wishes in the way you run it differently. I don't know if you did that on purpose or if it was unintentionally, but I really appreciate that I was last when it came to introducing my character, because I clearly need more time to figure out my ideas. And regarding other wishes, I think someone should write fan fiction about those characters. I really had a great time. Thank you all.
Awesome. Anders, this is the first time you've run for me, but this is the first time I've gotten to play with you, right?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. Stars, wishes?
Yeah, I loved everyone's characters and that everyone embraced the melodrama, just full hilt. The whole session was a lot of fun. I'm impressed that you managed to push us all together at the end, because right before that I was thinking, I barely got to interact with any of the other play characters. Yeah, I really appreciated that. For wishes, and this may again be just a cultural thing, but I'm a bit confused by the stats, and I'm not sure if this is intentional, but some of the words associated with them are so similar. Maybe it's, I don't know if that's intentional or not, but
there is a little bit, I think that they are a little close. I want to give people the freedom to choose what they want, and then to mold their reaction to that. And it's probably something I should say to players. That's a good point.
Yeah, because I got slowed down a little when I was choosing stats, because the caution is here and calculation is here and patience is here. It's like I felt like I couldn't quite tell what each stat was supposed to represent.
Yeah, I definitely need to be clear about how open that is. That it is much more like the veil, where it's about what you're feeling and how you're processing the moment. That's a really good point.
Yeah, but it worked. It works really well. I mean, you've playtested this a lot, so I've seen it on the calendar many times and been disappointed that it's been out of my my possible time zones. But that's the way it goes. No, it was really fun to get a chance to play it, and it's a great game. I think the roles are really good. I mean, I'm not well versed in wuxia by any means. I watched a few movies and a few episodes of shows here and there. But I mean, I immediately recognize all the character types, and I think that shows that you've really nailed those.
Awesome. Mark, stars, wishes?
Well, so just to give the history on this, back in October of last year, Lowell, Rich, and I were on a podcast together talking about romance in games. And Lowell was like, well, have you tried Hearts of Wulin? And I'm like, I have absolutely not. That was that portended this future event. And so I contacted Lowell and I said, hey, like I'm not going to be capable of jumping in on the website and trying to grab a seat. You know, would you be willing to hold a seat for me? So Lowell was very gracious enough to hold a seat for me, and I appreciate that. I want to say, like, mechanically, I feel like the 4-player version was smoother than I would imagine a 5-player version would be. You were looking for a 5th player, right?
No. It's all, 4 players is all I will ever run online. Believe me. 3 and 4 players are definitely the sweet spot for that. Yeah.
So I loved everyone's characters. Lowell had given me a list of movies, and I watched. I've seen a couple of them, and it just felt like it was directly out of them. The only thing that didn't happen was a million characters getting introduced, and only having some of them being important. The movie I watched, The Sentimental Swordsman, like they just kept introducing character to character to character, and I was like, but this was better. This was tight knit. I want to thank the dice. I wanted an incompetent character, and the dice gave that to me. So I'm glad that I failed all of those rolls. Man, that scene at the brazier where you put in the prayers and Zahn and Jen are conspiring together. That was just, I thought that was, I never would have thought of that. Like the way you brought that about, Michael, like it was so good, and it was so not from the way I tend to think about things, and I appreciated that. And I just really enjoyed role playing this, and I agree. Like, I would love to see more fiction with these characters. There needs to be a sequel to this. So thank you all for just like making a great game. Thank you, Anders, for letting the monk win.
Yes.
But also lose because, you know, her opinion of you was that you were evil, and in the end she struck down someone who was good. You know, it's just the tragedy of it all. I loved it. I loved it all.
Awesome. Well, good-ish, maybe.
Yes, good-ish. Thank you, everyone. I'm going to stop the recording, and then